Hi, folks. Steve Urban here. Today's episode of the Riderflex podcast is sponsored by Marketing 360. My good friend JB Kellogg and his team do such a fantastic job for us and so many other companies. Marketing 360 is the number one platform for small business, and it's everything you need to grow your business. If you need marketing support, I really encourage you to contact them at marketing360.com/Riderflex, and we'll add that link to the description of this episode for easy reference. On today's episode of the Riderflex podcast, we have guest Chad Weller, a high-performance life coach and global speaker with a powerful story of perseverance and the willingness to take on challenges. His endeavors include running and completing a 100-mile race more than once. He has also traveled the globe for years as a professional model, ultra-marathon runner, and motivational speaker. With gritty determination, Chad overcame adversity in his own life with addiction and surviving a near-death car accident. His mission is to inspire those who are willing to grow.
Perfect. What's up with the snow, man? The snow is crazy.
Right? We had 60-degree weather in Colorado, last weekend, and now it is winter still, right? I guess we should be ready for it.
Yeah. I'm not used to it.
It's okay, right? I don't mind. The summers in Colorado are just so awesome that it's worth putting up with a little winter, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Did you grow up here?
No, I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I moved here about 3.5 years ago from Miami Beach. I lived in Miami Beach for 21 years. So
wow. Okay. Why'd you move here?
My agent wanted me to move out here. I was running professionally. I was running ultra marathons around the world, training for a big race up in Leadville. So I went up and camped in Leadville for a month and fell in love with Colorado. And he's like, why aren't you living out there training in the mountains? If I was getting ready for a big race in Argentina, running through the Patagonia Mountains. So yeah, here I am.
I see. Now, did you come up in the summer? I'm sure you came in the summer, right? For Leadville.
Yeah.
Running
yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go, though. That's what happens. I think people come to Colorado, especially if they come in the summer. Well, they come for skiing, and they're like, oh, it's cool to go skiing. But if they ever really, spend time in the summer, then they're usually hooked most of the time. So give us that, how you grew up and some family stuff, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and I had an amazing upbringing with two younger sisters. Fell in love with basketball. A little bit about my story, though, is at a very young age, I was diagnosed. It's actually 7, diagnosed with learning disability, ADD, and ADHD. And this is a big part of my where I am now is because that created a hardship. It was very troubling for me to understand that I had these adults, these teachers, family members, doctors put me on medication at such an early age. And I was just
7 years old.
Yeah, 7 years old. I was almost 8, actually.
What grade is that? I'm trying to remember.
I was in second grade.
Wow. I mean, when did you kind of understand, like, okay, I'm different and they're making me take these pills? I mean, did you know then at that age?
No, I had no idea. I just know that one, the medicine made me feel different, and 2, that I was different than everybody else. And I was really frustrated as a kid. And, sports was my outlet. I loved playing soccer, basketball, and baseball. And that was my outlet. And, that was, I still came from a great family. I was blessed. We were given anything and everything that we wanted, but still when I had to go to school and had to go to classrooms and had to deal with stuff in life, I was on medication, and I had to, figure out ways to, one, how I was feeling. And then when I wasn't taking the medication, I was feeling different. And then at just such an early age, having people tell you that you're not going to be able to read, you're not going to be like every other kid, you're going to go to these small little tutor rooms. And I was pretty hard on myself as a kid.
Yeah, that's tough. Did your sisters have any problems like that?
No, but they were awesome, very supportive, but no, they didn't.
Okay. And what'd your folks do, real quick, if you don't mind?
My mother's a realtor, and my dad was in the elevator business.
Elevator business, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
he an entrepreneur or just an executive? What did he do? I'm just curious.
Well, as a kid, he grew up. I remember him. He was building actually elevators, and
Oh,
then he worked his way up to an executive level. Yes.
but your mom was a realtor, which is kind of there's some entrepreneurial juice
Yeah.
in doing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They're kind of looking for the tie on how it ties back to maybe some of your entrepreneurial bug, to do your own
Yeah.
thing. And so, would you say your mom maybe had a little bit of you know did she affect your life? I mean, did looking at her, were you like, oh, I'm gonna do my own thing, or that didn't really connect?
It did. I didn't. I don't think it really connected then. I was so consumed with what was going on in my world and
Okay,
what wasn't going on in my world,
okay,
and I knew that from an early age I wanted to escape that world.
okay,
So I
okay.
always would daydream about like moving to another place where I
Oh,
wasn't
oh.
labeled and people didn't know who I was.
Now, when you were playing sports in high school, were you having to go to special classes and stuff then, or were you just with the
Yeah,
regular? Really?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. So oh wow, okay, all right. But you were an athlete. And you were a good athlete. So you like the coaches were like, hey, we need Chad on the team. I don't care if he has a learning disability or ADD or whatever. We need him on the team.
Yeah, yeah, and I was the only one on the team that had to go to do these smaller classes and had tutors, and I look back and I'm grateful that I had that experience. But as I'm sharing it, when I was going through that, it was very very hard for
Oh,
me
I can imagine.
to deal with, and I remember my teachers told me that I wasn't going to be able to go to college. I wasn't going to be able to. Basically, they projected out my future that I was going to be an insurance salesman or work at a Honda factory.
So
And I
you
was
had the
like,
personality. So you had the personality for sales, though. You like to talk to people. You had good
I
people
love
skills.
talking.
Early.
Yeah, yeah, I love talking to
Okay.
people.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I get that from
Okay.
my mother for sure. She's
Right, because she's a
from
realtor.
entrepreneur. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, now, were you getting in fights in school where like some of the guys on the team, like, they make fun of you
Sure.
because you're having to go to these classes and you're like, hey, bro, like, let's step outside. Do you have any of that going on?
I did have some outbursts, fights. I wasn't very level-headed because I felt like I was just frustrated all the time.
Okay. Okay. Well,
And
are
it
you?
wasn't necessarily they were picking on me because I was in these classrooms. It was more or less me just being
Uh,
like on medications. And I, I look at my nutrition back then too, and that really created significant. I grew up, in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, and
Cheeseburgers, hot dogs, it's all good. By the way, are you a big guy? What's your size? Are you an athlete? How tall are you?
6'1".
You're 6'1". Okay. All right. So you're good
Yeah,
size in high school, decent sized guy in high school.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're going through all this. All right. I feel for you. You're going through all this. And then what? You graduate. How did you decide? Did you go to the Ohio State?
I did. I went to the Ohio State University. I was going to go play Division II, Division III basketball. I made my decision pretty late to just go to Ohio State. There was like always a dream of mine to go to Ohio State, and then um, I went there and found out that again I didn't like school. So I actually started modeling in high school.
Oh, okay.
My senior year, and taking some pictures, did a couple little campaigns there in Ohio. And then my freshman year of college, my agency asked me if I would like to go to South Beach during spring break to go meet some agencies that were interested in me. And I was,
Ooh. You're like, yes.
yes. So my parents were like, yeah, go check it out. So I was down there for about a week, and they put me up in a hotel with models from all over the world. I went to my first runway show, and my first full day there, I went to visit 3 agencies and signed a contract with an agent, and was
Wow.
pretty excited.
Wow. How old were you?
18.
18. Okay. Now, even though you had some of these things going on in your life and the medications, I mean, getting signed as a model with a contract, that had to give you a little bit of boost, right? I mean, you had to. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like, hey, I'm all right. I'm in Miami now. I'm a good-looking guy. I got a contract. I mean, that's got to help a little.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it was, I never knew I was going to end up living on the beach and having this opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I was definitely very grateful
Okay. Now, did
for
you
that
drop out of
opportunity.
school? Did you drop out of
Yeah, I
college?
did. I left Ohio State and pursued the modeling career and did that for a while.
Whoa, hold on.
Um,
Hold on. Did your mom and dad go to school?
My dad did not. My mother went to some college but did not graduate.
When you called your dad from Miami and you said, "Hey, I'm on the beach with a bunch of chicks and I just got a modeling deal. I'm not going back to Ohio State." Were they like disappointed, or how'd that go over?
They were excited for me, honestly. They knew it was a big opportunity for me, and I think they were looking at it like, hey, I get to go visit my son in South Beach, like hang out on the beach, coming from Ohio, right? And
Okay.
so
All right.
my parents are awesome.
Uh,
They were incredibly supportive, and that was really important to me,
okay,
to
cool. That's cool.
have
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Now, all right. You definitely have my attention now, because now you're an 18-year-old good looking guy in Miami. You got a modeling contract. Chicks are hanging all over you. Life is good. All right. Now
That's
what
good.
happens? Now what happens?
Yeah, so actually, I was there for about a year and a half, and then I moved to Milan, Italy. I had a big contract out there. Just the point I was around, 19 and a half. Moved out there, lived out there for a year, modeled, did all the runway shows, worked for the top
Wow.
designers in the world, from Versace, Prada, Gucci, Hugo Boss, and got to
You still
travel
take
around.
you still taking medication?
Yes, yeah,
All right.
yep.
All right.
And still learning about life. Like from Ohio, small town Ohio, to South Beach, which is very culture influenced, people from all
Yeah.
over the world, just a total wake up
No.
call. Then to
Yeah.
Milan, Italy, not knowing the
Yeah.
language. That's where I actually started to run, because a big part of my story is running, and I was getting lost and on the subway, and just I was there by myself for 3 weeks before all the other models came in.
Ooh.
Because basically everybody takes off the month of August, and I got there pretty early. So
I see.
I
I
was just
see.
getting lost, and I started running around instead of taking the buses and subways. So that's really where I started running.
Okay. All right. Plus, you got to stay in shape because you're a model. Well,
There
I
you
mean,
go. Yeah.
all right. But all right. Now, I know your story, right? Obviously, I did a lot of homework on you before the podcast. Now, I guess at that age, as a model, we're all, not all, most people are into a little bit of drugs and alcohol at that point. But is that when it started getting excessive for you? Walk us into some of that now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No, I was able to maintain myself, and do a pretty good job, so to say, for my
Okay.
age,
Okay.
of knowing when to quit.
Okay.
As I got older, the abuse didn't really start until I was about 28.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, how long did the modeling career go on, or are you still doing that, by the way?
Yeah, I do it every once in a while, but that career was around 8.5 years, 8 years.
Okay. All right. When did you come back from Italy?
I was just there for a year.
Oh, you were just there for the year. All right. And then
Yeah.
walk us into some of your career after that. How did you decide to, do what you're doing now?
Sure.
And go ahead.
Yes, when I moved back I was still modeling. I was in a restaurant. I was opening up hotels. I was in the hotel and restaurant industry, and then I got into the nightlife. The nightlife, basically, that's where I was really introduced to the party life. And in South Beach, it's known for its clubs. Staying open until 5 a.m., 24-hour clubs. Like, so then there was this mixture of, I was a VIP host, a bartender, doorman, and you're just surrounded by party people, celebrities, and
Yes. Yes. Yes.
just a lot of temptations to make choices. And that's what I did. I made the wrong choice, and I started going down the wrong path. And the fast forward, to 2009 is basically when everything came to a complete halt. I was pretty out of control from 28 to 32. And in 2009, I literally ran into a 50-foot brick wall, and almost lost my life. And
How old were you right there?
32.
You're 32. Okay. All right. That's when you had the married, kids, relationships, anything at that point?
Lots. I've gone through many relationships, not married, no kids.
Were you in a serious relationship at that point?
I just gotten out of one, like 3
Okay.
days before. I hit the wall, got in trouble, got a DUI, and then I lost my job 2 days later.
Well, yeah. Okay. Because you went to jail for a couple of nights, I'm guessing.
I actually didn't go to jail. They were super cool. I was supposed to go to the hospital. I broke my ribs, a bunch of ribs. I broke my arm. I was knocked unconscious for 10 minutes. they cut me out of the car. I mean, it was a pretty bad crash. And
Oh,
the
you're
police
lucky.
officer,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
lucky you didn't kill somebody else, right?
yeah, man, there's so many things that went through my head that day. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, now how deep was your addiction to drugs and alcohol? You could go into it just a little bit. Are we talking lines of Coke every day? Are we talking, a pint of bourbon? What are we talking about here? Give us some detail if you don't mind.
Yeah, from that stage, I was introduced to cocaine at like 28, and every time I would drink, I would get the party favors, and being in that industry, it was handshakes. It was just given to you for free. I would not say I would just sit up all day and all night and just start going to look for drugs. That wasn't me. It was more or less I created habits around drinking and doing drugs,
Okay.
and just got incredibly lost in that world. And the people I was surrounding myself, as they say, you're a product of your environment. So my product was drugs and alcohol and partying. So I mean, I'd be up for days, and
Mm-hmm.
I never felt good about it. I never really enjoyed it. Again, this goes back to my childhood. Is not really, I was just feeling lost, and really, even when I was doing the fashion shows and working with the top designers in the world, there was always something missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fast forward, hanging out with celebrities, and going to Heat games on the floor seats, like all these things that were happening to me, I just still felt empty inside. And people looked at my life, they were like, "You have everything, man."
Well,
I
you just took
mean,
the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you're describing. I mean, you're telling me you're like, I'm a good-looking guy. I'm living in Miami. I'm hanging out with stars. I'm doing all. I mean, it's like, bro, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, I want to sign up for that. I want to do that.
yeah.
But it felt empty though. So the whole time, are you like, this isn't what I want to do, or I don't. I were you thinking I want to do something else, or you just felt empty inside?
I felt empty. I felt lost. I knew that the direction I was going was going to eventually come to a halting stop. I just didn't know how. I didn't have the power to do that. I knew that I was powerless over the drugs and alcohol, and I didn't have the tools to. I didn't have any purpose. I didn't have any direction.
Mm. Wow. Okay. All right. So the wreck happens. You get out of the hospital. Then what?
Some serious changes had to be made. After they basically told me that you almost died, and I was, facing a bit of trouble too. So I just had to make the decision right then and there with myself and be honest with myself, like, hey, you're gonna have to make some drastic changes, and you're gonna have to start going after things that are going to be tough. You have to get uncomfortable, and you're gonna have to quit the drugs and alcohol. So that day, it was a Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2009. Is the last time I've done drugs or alcohol. And
Wow.
I went into AA. I got help for a couple of years. It's actually when I was in AA, I was actually bartending in South Beach, getting sober. So I was going to 2 meetings a day, working at these crazy nightclubs for 3 years. Never touched anything.
Wow.
That's when I really started running, and I found ultra marathons. Ultra marathons were my saving grace.
Man, that takes a lot of self-control to be around that, to be in the life still, hanging out with all the alcohol and all the partying, and people are like, "Hey, man, let's do a shot," and you're, wow, okay, yeah, that. I don't know. There's probably not very many people that can do that. I mean, I have not gone to any AA meetings. I have not had an addiction problem to where I can relate. But can I just ask this question? If you're in that group and that's happened to you, don't they encourage you to stay away from that kind of scene? I mean, yeah, I don't know how it works. Maybe you can help me out there.
Yeah, that was uh, definitely encourage you to stay out. But I think that was the challenge that I needed at that time, because I'm a very extremist, right? So that put me in an extreme atmosphere. My
Yeah.
sponsor at the time, we used to party together, and he had been sober for a couple of years, and he was, in the club business too. So he's like, go to
Wow.
2 meetings and just choose not to, it was just day by day. And
Wow.
this
Wow.
really, it was difficult, but it was also easy at the same time, because I started seeing different things and feeling different things as I started getting sober. And
Okay.
this started coming to my conscious of like, okay.
Okay. Now you're not making any money modeling anymore at that point. Not right then. I'm guessing your money is you're a bartender. That's how you're making your living. and you're getting sober. That's what's happening in your life at that moment.
That's correct. And doing some VIP hosting. I did modeling here and there. But at this point, I'm not pursuing the career any longer.
Okay. All right. How does the high performance life coaching happen? Walk us into that transition if you don't mind.
Sure. 2010, I started running ultras, and ultras was really ultra marathon. So I was running, my first race was 50K, and this was the first steps of getting into that mindset. I started running longer distances, 50 miles, 100K, and I started running 100-mile races and found out I was pretty good, and I turned pro and I got sponsors. So then they started flying me around the world. I started speaking on stage and started creating my own identity and reinventing myself as this really healthy person. To this date, I've been vegan for 25 years. So I really stepped into this nutrition, healthy lifestyle where I was just fully committed about learning how to challenge the mind, spirit, and body. And when you're running for 100 miles, it takes me around 27 to 30 hours straight. You have a lot of time to think. And so I was starting to think about, like, what do I want to do? Like, how can I help people? And at this time I was running my own, I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years now, but I started running my own running company, personal training business in South Beach, working with very exclusive clientele, IndyCar drivers, professional athletes. And then this all transformed of helping them with movements, but then I started helping them with personal issues.
Okay. Let me just take a pause right there. So now I understand the transition after kind of studying your profile. So you're working these bars and stuff, right? And you're doing this thing. You start running to stay in shape. The next thing you know, you've done a couple of these ultra marathon things, and somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, we'll sponsor you." And now you're getting a check for that. And you're like, "Oh shit. Okay. I might actually be able to make a living and pay the rent doing this." And then but at the time you weren't thinking I'm going to be a coach. You're just like, okay, cool. I got a sponsor. I'm going to run. I'm going to do these running things. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life yet, but they're handing me sponsorship checks, so I'll take it. And then you're like, I might be able to help other people do this, right? With some training and running and so forth. So now that eases you into coaching. Now you're getting paid a little bit from coaching on the running plus the sponsorships. That's how you're making a living. Okay. Do I got it right so far?
You're right on.
Okay. You don't know if you're going to be, you haven't said I'm going to be a high performance life coach yet, but you're easing into that you're headed that direction, even though you don't know it. Right.
Right.
Okay, cool. All right. So now you're doing this, you're running, you're doing the sponsorship, you're doing a little bit of coaching. You're starting to eat right, by the way. What'd you say? 25 years as vegan or vegetarian?
Vegan.
I don't know how you do that, bro. I just don't know I don't know how you do that, man. I mean, hey, kudos, right? I can't do it, man. I grew up in Oklahoma, right? Like we eat steak every day, right? I mean, come on, there's beef like daily.
Yeah, same with my household.
I don't know how you do it, man. My oldest son is a vegetarian, was a vegan for a while. Now he kind of edged into the vegetarian. He comes over, I'm just like, I can't. Anyway, but you start eating right. Now you're getting in really good shape. Okay, cool. Go ahead. Now, what happens next?
Yeah. So again, when you're out there training, you're running. So I started helping these amazing individuals, started building my business, figuring out how to run my own business. So I'm like realizing I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a professional athlete. How did all this just happen? And this wasn't any part of my plan. So then now I started putting together a plan. And so I actually hired a life coach. And I actually was looking more of how to grow the mindset. I've hired a breathing coach. At this time, I had around 5 coaches. I had personal trainers.
You're making enough money to pay all these guys at that point?
Well, a lot of them were included into sponsorships too. So like my team that were, acupuncturists, personal trainers, they were included into a sponsorship. My sponsorships took care of that. But the personal coach was my choice because I wanted to learn more about the mindset. When you're out there running again, over 7.5 years, I ran 39 ultras, and you're running. I was running in Thailand, South America, all over the world, and you experience so much when you're out there through perseverance. So I was basically creating a path for high performance because I was a high performer there. I would be running anywhere from 175 to 210 miles a week. So that's approximately between 37 to 42 hours a week of just running. And that's a pretty big commitment. And I had to really focus on being a high performer, because you had to get enough sleep, you had to eat right, you had to, make sure that you went and you fit everything into your schedule. So when I started creating this, I started studying like Tony Robbins, Brendon Burchard, and I was just like, one day it just clicked. I said, I'm working with these amazing individuals as they're helping them with movement. And I've gone through all this mindset stuff. How can I help individuals? So I created this business around high performance.
I see.
It's high performance, coaching, high performance life coaching. And so I completely made that shift from helping individuals with like running with them and with movements to focusing on the mindset, energy, meditation, and all the things that I had learned have really created that path for me to step in and speak from experience. And that's why I started talking today around my childhood, because I've done so much work that I'm grateful for all that happens. And I've done a lot of inner self work where I no longer, all the way up to about 3 years ago, I was still empty inside. I still didn't have any direction.
Wow.
So when I started doing all this deeper work, it was more, I had to go through that for a reason. And so I love sharing that with people, because I think we're all on our own journeys. We are going through something, some way, somehow. And through my story, I like to share like anything's possible. Like I used to hate running in high school, and I ended up becoming a professional runner, running 100-mile distances. And then, I was told I was going to work at a Honda factory. Now I'm running a very successful coaching business. I'm a motivational speaker, speak around the world, writing a book, which is going to be done in June.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, right. So I mean, the message behind all of this is like anything's possible. And when somebody tells you something, they're telling you something from their own eyes, like their own energy. And I think all the way up to 3 years ago, I took that very personal. And I was very hard on myself, and it really changed everything when I start realizing and just creating self-acceptance. And that's what's really helped me become an entrepreneur and stay in this world, because it's very tough to be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah. Which is why this podcast exists, to talk about that, all of those challenges. So let's talk about your business. How long have you had Chad Weller High Performance Life Coaching as an entity? How old is that business?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. Any employees?
No.
Just yourself. Okay. So everything is you. All right. How do you find your client? Do you call them clients? I don't know if you call them clients. How do you find your clients? How do people find you, and how do you get them?
Perfect. So people can find me at chadweller.com. But I have a team. So I have an agent. She helps me find speaking gigs. She's basically my publicist as well. And then I have a marketing team. Yeah, they do a lot of my social media stuff, putting stuff out in Google Ads and all this stuff behind it. As an entrepreneur, there's a lot of different things that I really want to focus on: coaching and speaking and focusing on my book. So I like to outsource the experts. I do like to learn it as well. But then if I focus on marketing and all these other things, I can't focus on coaching, and it takes away from my passion. So really hiring people and, getting people that are passionate about the stuff I'm not passionate about, it was a big game changer for myself in my career.
Gotcha. Okay. And tell me this, who's your typical client? Is your typical client a successful business owner that is addicted to drugs and alcohol, or is your typical client, I don't know, just a regular middle class worker that has depression problems? Who is your client?
It's a great question. So my client is somebody who is a high achiever. How
do you define that?
A high achiever, somebody who has found success in their life in one aspect. It could be, it could be career, it could be financially, it could be with some sort of success. They have this drive behind them, but they have really just focused on one particular part of their life where they've been successful.
I see.
Right. And so what my job as a coach is, they're coming to me, they're saying, I'm feeling stuck. I'm not really doing what I want to do. This is not what I'm passionate about. I feel like I've lost a lot. I don't know where to go. So I help them create a roadmap, get them connected to their passion and purpose. getting them, one, connected to their habits and their foundation. Because if you're doing all the wrong things, you're never going to find out where, you're never going to get to where you want to go. And you look at my story, I was doing all the wrong things, and still until I started focusing on doing the right things just started happening. And I started to realize I was the creator. So I give all my clients, when we first meet, you have a 60-minute breakthrough session with me. It's complimentary, really get to know each other, build some rapport. And then my job as a coach is to meet you where you are. And then we start strategically planning on, okay, this is where I want to go. How are we going to get there? And a lot of us, I think, as individuals, and I can, speak for myself on this, as we start focusing on the results. And what I get, majority of my clients, they're focused on the results. So it causes anxiety, depression. Maybe they're addicted to drugs, maybe they aren't. But there's all these like counterparts that come in when you're focusing on the results. And I get them to take a step back, connect with their energy, their breathing, and focus on the process and get alignment to where they're going. And that's a big part of my coaching, is just supporting them along the way with the accountability. And it's very relatable for me. And I work with people that have the energy around, like, this is what I want. I have this vision. I just don't know how to get there.
Okay. What about the person that's depressed, having some issues, but they can't afford you? I'm guessing there's a lot of people out there that would love to call Chad Weller, but they can't pay the hourly rates or the retainer or whatever it is. What advice would you give to those folks?
Yeah, advice would be to follow me on social media and, get my book when it comes out in June. Well, it'd probably be like July, August. And, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Like I offer those 60-minute calls, and it's good to meet people and help people. But I think around my social media content, I'm always, it's social media is not about me. It's content to help people along the way. And I truly feel it speaks there. So I would definitely, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, are great places to follow along.
If there's somebody out there listening right now, speaking of some free wisdom, if there's somebody out there listening right now and they're just waking up every day, hating their life and super depressed, I know it's hard for you to give generalized advice probably, but anything you'd say to that person?
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and don't lose hope. And know that you have the power to create anything and everything in your life. And you're talking to somebody who was depressed, severely depressed. I was on medication right when my accident happened. I was on 2,400 milligrams of medication, and that's a ton. I was just I've been off medication now. I was on medication for 27 years. I've been off medication only for 5. So that was because I was depressed and anxiety. So my message would be, if you're losing hope, regain that hope. Find something that gets you excited, and I think just really just stay connected to who you are.
How about find something that gets you excited besides material things, right? I mean, I just feel like people are in today's world, they're so caught up in, okay, if I can just get that new boat, or if I can just get that new purse, or if I can just get, that fishing rod, I'm going to feel better about myself. It's like, yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah, that was me. I was chasing. I was chasing my happiness until I started doing this personal development work, the deep work, reading, watching stuff. I'm constantly learning every day because I have the power of choice right now. So I just simply choose to do that. I've been sober almost 11 years simply because I choose to every day. So a lot of what I talk about with my clients and my speaking is we all have a choice. Like, I had a choice to go do drugs. I had a choice to run into that 50-foot brick wall. I had a choice to be sober bartending, and I have a choice to be sitting here now. Right. So it's self-empowerment, which is a huge part of our journey as humans on this planet, is understanding that we're capable of doing so much more than we set out to do. And as you were saying, you chase after the purse, you chase after the car or the house, and then what? And then what? And then what?
Exactly. That's a really great tip for the listeners right there is, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people think, if I can just get to this point, if we can just get to this location, if I can just get into this size apartment, if I can just get, if that new phone, if I could, whatever, like they're always thinking, if I can get to this point in my life and I can get these things, then it's all going to be great.
Yeah.
It just never works that way. You get there and it's not the golden pot at the end of the rainbow and everything's perfect. You're just right back where you started. And then all of a sudden you're telling yourself, okay, well now I'm still going to be unhappy and I'm going to pick a new spot I got to get to. Instead, how about trying to be happy just while you're in motion? That would be great, right?
And that's why I think the life coaching world is such an empowerment. Like I had therapists and psychiatrists for many, many years. The life coaching really changed my direction as somebody who I meet with my coach every week. And it's really helped me to create tools. It's really empowered me to look at things differently and step outside of my comfort zone, step outside of the norm and get out of my way. And that's the biggest thing that I've taken from my work I've done on myself. And if you're somebody who's struggling right now, it does take work. It does take getting uncomfortable, and it does take going inward. And a lot of people don't want to go in and do the inward work where you have to face like, why do I feel like this? Why am I depressed? Why wasn't I an addict? And when you start healing yourself, I'm always going to be in the process of healing and recovery, right? But I choose to, and I surrendered to that. And I surrendered to all that shit that was in my life to now I don't have any shit. I don't have any bad days because I choose not to.
That's awesome, bro. Congratulations, by the way, coming through everything you've been through.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I mean, really. So you're in Colorado now. Still no family, just you.
Just me.
Yeah, well, you're running the business by yourself, and so your business is just you and no family. Does it get lonely over there, Chad? Do we need to pass out your phone number and have people call you for social relations?
Let's pass out my number. No, I got a great crew around me. I got an amazing support team. Yeah, Colorado's cool. I've only been on here like 3 years. We're getting dumped on right now, like 12 inches today.
But it is an awesome place to live, though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, very, very cool.
I feel sorry for all the listeners right now that are listening to us from another state. I'm sorry for you. No, I'm just messing around. There are a couple of questions on the entrepreneurship, right? Real quick, as we kind of head towards the end of this. What advice would you give folks that want to start a business, a service business? Let's talk about those. Some sort of service business, whatever it might be. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's, they want to be a psychiatrist. Maybe they want to be, I don't know, a plumber, whatever. It's a service business of some kind. Maybe they want to start a recruiting firm like we're doing here at Riderflex, but they're scared or, they're like, well, I got a regular job and, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. If I quit my regular job and start my service business, how am I going to survive? What would you tell those folks?
Great question. So I would say it is scary, and you want to be scared going into an entrepreneur. You want to have that. You want to be able to take that risk, but you also want to create a game plan. You want to make sure it's connected to your passion and purpose to a point. And because if you jump into this world of an entrepreneurial, it can be very challenging getting to the top. And you want to be able to focus on keeping a positive mindset. You want to be able to reach out to people to help, be open to learning. I find people that are very stubborn and very not up for trial and error. And they're just like, they're just I'm going to start today. I'm going to get here by next week and I'm going to be an entrepreneur. They find out really quick that they should have never quit their job. So I think just having patience too would be my biggest takeaway, is having patience. It's a long, long game. And if you're looking to get in and make that quick buck as an entrepreneur, it's It just doesn't work like that.
It just doesn't work like that. Now, it's not a 3-hour movie. You're not going to just start and 3 hours later, you're going to be rich. Oh man, that's so true. Right. When you look back on your life now, if you could call that 18-year-old that got the phone call to go to Miami, let's say you're still at Ohio State, right? Matter of fact, let's just go into that timeline. Let's say it's before you got on the plane to Miami. What would you tell that kid?
It's a good question. Wow. I would say be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, and
would you tell him not to go? Don't get on the plane?
hell no. I don't have one regret. That was the coolest experience of my life, and to be honest with you, I would just tell him to enjoy the ride, because be kind. I wasn't kind to myself all the way up to about 3 years ago, and that made a lot of that's what steered me into the wrong path, because I was very, very, very hard on myself because of my childhood. That's just my reflection, but I think I'd tell him to choose a little bit more wisely along the way too.
Have you ever called your mom and said, "Hey mom, why'd you put me on all that stuff?" You ever challenged her on it?
She was just doing her best, man. She was a fighter for me. Every day she fought for me. She took me all the doctor appointments. This is in the 80s, and I know that she wasn't just like throwing me, and she was just like, she's my best friend. Like she's always been in my corner and always wanted the best for me. And
that's cool. She was just doing what she was doing, what she thought was best.
My mom was 19 and a half when she had me.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
So she was a kid. My dad was 22. They were kids. Like when I was going through all that, she was learning just how to, they were just in survival mode.
Right. Yeah. Are you close to them now? Are you close to your mom and dad 100%, both?
Yeah, definitely. And my sisters.
Okay. All right, cool. That's very cool. They might listen to this podcast.
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They know my story.
I'm sure they do. Right. Okay. One last question here. If you had to put Chad's core purpose into a sentence now, how would you define it? Or maybe 2 sentences, but 1 or 2.
I would say, living with purpose and passion. And, I always have in my mind each and every day is I'm creating a legacy. How do I want to be remembered? And that's why I up to a couple of years ago, I was not able to share my story. I was very ashamed. I was very not open until I got the proper coaching, and I expanded on why am I sharing my story? It's just to help people. My mission is to serve. My mission is to help people go through things in life and figure out how to, break through those obstacles and connect to their purpose and passion. And I'm living each and every day. I'm living the life I love, and it's through my purpose and passion.
When's the last
That's
time
more than 2 sentences?
Yeah, that's okay. When's the last time you ran a race?
I got a snowboard accident last year, so it's been about 1.5 years. I have one coming up in May. It's a 50K. I retired running professionally in 2018.
Wow. 50K. 50K. Are your knees and ankles shot? Do you walk around in pain?
Not at all. I worked a lot on form and technique, and that's what I was doing as a coach. I would teach form and technique, teach people how to run and walk. And, when you're running those distances, you have to learn how to run efficiently or you're going to be screwed. Because I'm a couple 100-mile races. I'm climbing 30,000 feet, ascending 30,000 feet. You're running through snow, hail, all kinds of weather. So understanding your form and technique is really a great way to not get hurt.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if I want to go on a hike with you, bro. You probably leave me behind.
Let's go for a hike. I would love that.
When you call your friends, they're like, "Hey man, let's go for a hike." They're like, "No, I'm busy. You go ahead, Chad."
No.
So it's chadweller.com, right? Chadweller.com. Is that the best place for them to go and check it out? And then there's information there on how to make contact with you.
Yeah, everything's there. Social media, connecting with me, more about videos and stories. We're doing a whole bunch of videos this week. I'm going to be launching here in the next couple of weeks. So
cool. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the Riderflex podcast and sharing your story, Chad. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Can you hang on just a second? I'm going to stop on the recording, but hang on just a sec before you hang up, okay?
Of course. Yeah.
The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.